hide. It's not about perfection, it's about the climb. Breaking through the limits, one step at a time. With every breath, I'm closer to the dream. A life that's bold, a heart that gleams. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. The mirror's reflection, it shows who I am. But it's just the beginning, not the end of the plan. Through trials and heartache, I've learned how to fight. To shape my tomorrow, I start with tonight. It's not about the shadows, it's about the flame. Fueling the courage to rewrite the game. Every step forward, I leave fear behind. Greatness is waiting, it's yours and it's mine. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. Through the storms and the pain, I'm finding my way again. With purpose, with heart, I'll never fall apart. It's the journey, not just the end. A story that begins again. I'll build it, I'll create a life that resonates. Be great. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. This is your story, it's time to ignite. A life of intention, a future so bright. The world is waiting, don't let it wait. Step into your greatness, it's time to be great.
Hey, there we are. Hey, everybody, welcome in, welcome in. Hello. Left work a little early today, needed some me time. Totally understand that. Welcome in, everyone. My name is Andrew, or Orpheus Quine if you're over on the Twitch side, and I am the founder and CEO of the Idea Training Academy. We are a coaching and consulting firm, and what that means is I work every day to try and help people get closer to the best version of themselves. The thing that I love most in the world is helping people. And in fact, this time, for one thing, obviously, I just got from Tal, right? Who says, thank you for wonderful advice, whether you're entertaining or teaching us. Thank you so much for taking the time to say so. I appreciate it. Much love for that. I got, I had been having a little bit of a difficult time over the last couple of weeks. Me time is always good. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Good job, Kat. Good job, both of you. That's the way to do it. Sorry, guys. I gotta look at TikTok here for a second. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There we go. Gotta line myself up for the TikTok friends. Let's see here. To which point, welcome if you're on TikTok. Welcome if you're over on YouTube. And of course, welcome to my friends on Twitch. It is good to see all of you here. It's good to have you. This is our Thursday stream. What do we do every Thursday? We get together and we learn about how to get better. Kitty cat, I'm getting a mani-pedi for the first time at a salon in over 5 years. So good. So good. Oh, in like over some years. That's good. Good. Well, welcome in. Today, we're going to talk about one more way that we can get closer to the best version of ourselves. Today, I want to talk about how to say no. And that's one of the things that I think we all struggle with. Oh, yeah, I was talking about real quick. I got a couple of great notes. I was having a crisis over the last few weeks, a kind of a crisis of faith. And you guys know, right? Have you ever had the moment where you feel like you're speaking into the void? You feel like you have something to say, you feel like you have entertaining content or something good to put out into the world, and it feels like nobody is listening. Have you ever had that moment? I've had that moment, and I had that moment recently. And then just this last week, I got notes. I got notes from two of my private clients that talked about how some of the things that I had done had helped them out in their lives. And then I get this great note from Tal. And so it's just what I'm saying is right now, if you are out there, if you feel like you're putting something out into the world that's valuable, but you feel like it's not coming back, don't quit. Don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing because it's going to come back around to you. That's so good. So good. It's been so good. Just an FYI, your camera is focusing in and out. Thank you. Oh, that's weird. Well, I have a strange thing up there. That doesn't help. My camera is focusing in and out. That's odd. Looks fine to where I'm at. I wonder if it's a strange thing. Are you seeing that over on TikTok and YouTube as well? Let me know if you're seeing focus issues. I am not seeing them on my screen. Usually listen after the fact. So good, so good. I think it looks okay now. Okay, good. Maybe it was just a momentary focus thing that was going on. Listen, guys, I want to talk to you today. And first of all, I'm sorry for being a little late. It was one of those days, right? You have those days. We all have those days. We have those days when things get out of control. And I think that fits very well into what we're going to talk about today, because today, well, I want to give you some mental models, and I'll talk about what that means, mental models. But I really want to talk about some ways that you can know when it's time to say yes and when it's time to say no to the things that pop up in your life. Let me tell you a story. I had a conversation recently with someone who asked me and kept asking me, how do I know if I'm making the right decisions? And so I was putting it out. By the way, there is a link there. I'll throw it in the TikTok chat there. If you want to ask a question, you can hit that. That will take you to an anonymous site where you can ask any questions that you want. Of course, you can always throw those questions in the chat as well. I see you all joining on TikTok, so thank you. Thank you for being with us today. I want to answer your questions if I can today. But one of the questions that I got was, this person kept coming to me and kept saying, how do I know if I'm making the right choices? How do I know if I'm making the right decisions? That was what they said over and over and over and over again. And this person was stuck. So we know what it means to be stuck, right? You've been stuck before. You've experienced this. Maybe you're stuck right now. And if you are, I want to talk to you about some ways, some strategies to help to get out of stuck. Now, this particular person was stuck because they didn't have clarity. And the clarity they didn't have was around the type of person that they wanted to become. And if there's something you're going to get dialed down early on, it's that. You got to figure out the type of person that you want to become. Because until you know the type of person that you want to become, everything in your life will be controlled by everything around you. It'll be controlled by random circumstance. It will be controlled by your boss. It'll be controlled by your, by your friends. It will be out of your control. And if you want to live a life on purpose, you cannot live a life that's out of control. Those two things are opposed to each other. So this person right here, I told him something that I don't usually tell people. And here's what I told them. I said, hold off. Don't make a decision. Don't proceed until you've talked to someone who has real expertise. Now, listen, normally I'm going to be the one who tells you if you've got something that, if you've got something that needs to get done, if you got something that's burning and you feel like it needs to get done, then get out there and do it, right? Don't wait for things to be perfect. Don't wait for things to be locked in. Don't wait for perfect clarity. Just go and do. That's going to be the first thing. That's how successful people become successful. But that being said, in this particular case, this individual needed to wait. Why? Because they did not have clarity around the person they wanted to become, and they did not have expertise in what they were trying to do. So I said, hold off. And you know what they did? They didn't. They didn't hold off. They went ahead anyway. How goes it? Hey, Ghost, what's going on? Welcome in. They didn't hold off. They jumped in. And as a result, things didn't go well, right? Because they were being driven by a desire to get an outcome that made them happy, instead of a desire to get an outcome that made them the right type of person. Character is important, guys. Don't let anybody tell you character isn't important. I know it's popular to pretend that everything is equal, but it's not. Character is really, really important. And so you got to get that figured out. And a big part of that comes through identity. I'm going to catch up with my Twitch chat here real quick because it's popping off, baby. Let's go. I was being a Jill of all trades at work today, so I had to stop being a gopher because I know what I was doing things that needed to be done at work, but I had enough for the day. Good choice, right? You're making good choices, Tal. Way to call it, right? They might be dealing with self-confidence issues. Right? But the problem is, self-confidence issues don't get solved by letting someone else decide for you. Right? Your self-confidence is only ever going to grow by you creating your own life. Right? And you have to separate the idea that everything's going to be perfect from the idea that you have the ability to direct your own life. Some people think, well, if I go and call the shots for myself, I might mess it up. I might screw things up. Listen, that's not it. Your confidence cannot be driven by your success. Your confidence must be driven by the control you have over your life, by you being in the driver's seat of your decisions. And you know what? That doesn't mean that you're ruled by everything that makes you feel good. Because when you're ruled by dopamine, when you're ruled by your introversion or your extroversion, when you're ruled by your self-diagnosed ADHD or OCD, when you're ruled by all of these things, all of these labels that we apply to ourselves, you are not in control of your life. And if you want to be great, and you can, I believe that is in the cards for you, you must be in control of your life. Modern Ghost says, I decided I'm going to rescue a dog for the pound. Let's go. Once your house is finished, that's good. Impulsive moments. Impulsive moments are the worst. You must have self-mastery, my friends. You must have self-mastery. You must have control over your character. You must have control of those things. If you don't have those things, start today. Get out there. Start learning about self-mastery. Now, we're going to talk about some frameworks that are going to help you with that. Let's look. The moment that I was talking about, it reminded me that, we don't struggle with effort, right? You're trying really hard. Listen, I see you. You're trying really hard. You're working really hard. You're tired. You're worn out. You're burning the candle at both ends. You're doing good work. I'm not saying you're not. Nobody's saying you're not. And if those people are saying that you're not, then you need to not listen to those people. You're doing good work. But you may not be on mission. And that lack of alignment. Now, I've been writing on this in my Substack. Go down at the bottom of the screen. Sorry, it's super cut off on TikTok, but andrewburkham.substack.com. That's where you'll find my Substack. I'm in the middle of a four-part series that I'm writing about making sure that your motion and your mission are combined, that they're going in the same direction. And if they're not, you're going to find yourself unhappy. You're going to find yourself unsatisfied. I feel as if having values falls under controlling yourself too. Having values is one of the ways to control yourself, actually, Kitty. One of the ways that we control ourselves is by defining our values and by becoming disciplined around living those values. So once again, for those of you who may be newer, IDEA, IDEA, as in the Idea Training Academy. It's right behind me there. The I stands for identity, the D stands for discipline, the E stands for execution, and the A stands for accountability. Without any one of those four things, you will not be successful in life. You will not back into success without knowing who you are and who you want to be. You will not back into success by not having daily things that create the future that you want to create. You will not have lasting success if you do not decide to move at the moments of execution that are required, and you will not have success if you are not accountable to anyone other than your personal whims and desires, or worse yet, to those whims and desires of other people. Agreed. So good, so good. So yes, having values is a part of building your identity, and creating disciplines to maintain those values is what leads us to make the right decisions. Let me share a personal scatter moment from last week. Last week, my post on. By the way, if you're not subscribed to the Substack, it's free, guys. You can subscribe. There's a paid subscription, and I give all kinds of cool stuff to my paid subscribers. You're welcome to do that. You don't have to. It's totally free and always will be. Okay. If you're not subscribed already, go subscribe. If you don't like to read, if you're not a reader, I post the audio. So I personally record the audio version of every single week. It's usually like 15 to 20 minutes. You can listen to it at the gym. You can listen to it in the car. I may be biased, but I think it's good content. Go check it out, andrewburkham.substack.com. But I'm in the middle of this series. And last week I was saying, stop the scatter. Because we get so scattered, right? Our effort gets so scattered across things. I found myself saying yes to 3 different collaborations in one day last week. 3 different things. And they're all exciting things. They're all with great people. But I was sitting there at the end of the day and I realized that I had just committed to diluting my focus across more initiatives. Without checking to see if any of them actually move my mission forward. And so here I am preaching to you guys. I want you to know I'm vulnerable to these things too. So I had to back up and I had to dig myself out of some of those holes, right? Classic rookie mistake, right? Day one of personal growth. Don't do that. I had to make some uncomfortable calls. Let's just say it that. So today I'm going to walk you through some mental models. Oh. Well, I don't know what that sound is. Live studio disconnected. That was odd. I don't know what that noise is, but there you go. I think we're still live on TikTok. Who knows? There are things ringing. It's exciting around here. Welcome in if you're rejoining on the TikTok side. Sorry, we had some issues, guys. So if you're just joining, we are talking today about how to say no and what your yes has to be. So let me ask you this. To get started. Have you ever made a quick decision just to feel like you were doing something and then realize later on that it was the wrong move? Have you ever jumped into something just because you felt like you were stagnant and then up the road you're like, oh, that was the wrong thing to jump into? I have done it many, many times. You don't have to call yourself out. You could put it in chat if you want, but you don't have to. But I'm wondering, has that happened to you? It's happened to me a lot. Let's talk about I said I was going to give you some mental models. So can I just tell you, for those of you who are newer to the personal growth and development space, let's talk a little bit about what mental models are, because I talk about them all the time, but I know you don't, right? You're real people. You have real lives. You're not always talking about this. So mental models are like the lenses that we use to see things in our world and to make decisions. It's kind of like my glasses, right? I have my glasses because I can't see things without my glasses. A mental model is like something that you look through in order to see and understand the world around you. The problem is that sometimes my lenses get smudged. Do you wear glasses? Do you get this? Where your lenses get smudged and you have to wipe them off before you can read anything or see anything? Or what happens when it's been too long between that eye doctor visit, right? Is you can't, it's the right prescription for you, but it's the right prescription for the old you. There's something there. There's something very, very profound there. it's kind of like what we're talking about today, because your prescription changes over time. And as you progress towards the best version of yourself, the way that you see the world must also change over time. If you're looking at the world through the same lens that you were looking at it a year ago before you started on your personal growth journey, you're probably seeing things wrong. You're probably seeing things out of focus. You're probably not connecting with the things that are most important. You need a checkup. You need a new prescription. They work kind of like sometimes it's these mental models are like when you go to the eye doctor and they put that thing on your eyes and they're like, is this better or is this better? Or is this better or is this better? Right. And it's not until you get the one that's dialed down where you go, oh, now I can see the letters that are on the wall in front of me. That's what a mental model is all about. It's flipping between those lenses, trying to find the thing. It's like a laser beam, right? It concentrates your energy where it's going to create the most impact. Because I talked about this in my post this last week on Substack, substack.com, andrewburkham.substack.com. Go check it out right now. You could pause the stream. It's fine. I'll still be here. I talked about the difference between sunlight and a laser beam, because they're the same thing, right? Both sunlight and a laser beam, they're both light. They're both made up of the same frequencies, and they're both made up of the same type of energy, but they're different, and the difference is the concentration, right? The sunlight can warm you up, but if you need to cut through a steel beam, you're going to need a laser beam that's focused, that's concentrated. Same energy source, different result. And see, most people, you're not most people. If you're here today, you're not most people, because most people react out of habit. They react out of urgency, right? Or out of just what seems to be urgent. They act out of emotion. They're not acting out of intention. They're not deciding. They're not creating an alignment between their actions and their mission and that best future for themselves. So you don't need hustle. If you're here today and everybody around you has told you that the solution to getting ahead is hustle, I'm here to tell you, Andrew is here to tell you that's not it. The solution to you is not hustle. It's clearer thinking. It's that lens that snaps into place. It's that prescription that's new, where things are a little bit dizzy at first, but by the end of the day, you can see things you never saw before, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. That's mental models. And the first model, now I didn't create these. These are models that exist, but I'm gonna frame them up for you in a way that I hope is useful. The first model is about helping you determine the difference between urgency and importance, right? And that is what we call the Eisenhower Matrix. This is a good old one. I'm gonna throw this up here real fast. Let's see. There we go. Shrink it down. I don't know. We're gonna put it there. That seems like a good place to put it for everybody. I'll move it in a second. So the Eisenhower Matrix is all about helping you identify what's urgent and what's important, right? What's really important. Because most people live in urgency, right? Do you live in urgency? Have you done this? Have you found yourself where you're like email, message, task, got to clean this, got to do that, got to do this, urgency, 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 urgency. Everything around me is urgent. But when we are looking to do mission-driven work, it is very rarely in that urgency box, right? In fact, many, many times it's important, but not urgent. And that's whoever created this version, they said that's the decide this category, right? So you can have things that are not important and not urgent, right? And those are things that, if it's not important and not urgent, you shouldn't do it. If it's not important and it's urgent, well, then get somebody else to do it, right? Because it's not important. If it's important and urgent, then it should get done, right? It's a thing that's got to get done. But I want to talk to you about this little box it's in the upper left-hand corner here. It's green. It says decide. Things that are not important, but they are urgent. or no, wait, not urgent, but they are important. I got that backwards. This is the box that I see that gets neglected. And a lot of coaches will tell you just to concentrate everything on box 1. But I'm going to tell you, don't neglect box number 2, because that's where a lot of your mission-driven work is, especially if your mission isn't what you're doing for a living. If it's not what you go and do 8 hours for at work every day. If you looked at your calendar from the last month and you just looked at all the tasks that were written down there, would it reveal somebody that was on mission or that somebody that just had a list of things to do? Talked last week about how Brendan Burchard said that if you don't fill up your calendar, life will, right? Is life filling up your calendar right now? Is that what's going on? Would your calendar tell me about your real priorities versus just what you say are your priorities? Because it does, right? And if your priorities are things that everybody else has put on your calendar, then your priority is not your best growth. These are tough questions. But I want to suggest to you that they're the ones that will create real change for you. Not just momentary change, but something that's sustainable, something that will last. And that's really what we want. Here, let me give you an example. I keep talking about my Substack newsletter. It's right here. And the reason I keep talking about that is because it's a perfect example of this. It's not urgent. I'm not making a ton of money on Substack. I don't have 16,000 subscribers. I'm not making $10,000 a month writing on Substack. But it's incredibly important, even though it may not seem urgent, right? In the sense of it's going to feed my family, it's going to help me live. It's extremely important because, right, number one, it helps me connect with people directly, which is vitally important. It helps me sharpen my writing. It helps keep me aligned with my mission, which is to help people, even if it's not flashy or time sensitive or urgent. It's important. So what's your version of that newsletter? What do you have in your life that's not urgent but incredibly important to your mission? And how much time are you spending on that? Are you neglecting that thing or are you spending time on it? Let me tell you today, if that's something, if you've got something where you're like, hey, this is really important to me, but it's not urgent, it can wait. Stop waiting. Do it now. You don't know how much time you have left to accomplish the important things in your life. Let's go to model number 2. Model number 2, and I don't remember, I wrote down this morning who came up with this model, and I've lost it in my notes, so I'm sorry about that. But it's a model. It's called inversion thinking. Inversion thinking, when you invert something, you turn it inside out, or you turn it upside down, turn it backwards. And inversion thinking says this: instead of thinking, how can I succeed at something, right? How can I succeed at whatever it is that you're looking at? It says the other way around. It says, what would guarantee failure? How could I fail? And then what you do is you avoid doing all of those things. So you build a plan to fail, and then you do the exact opposite of that plan. And what I love about this inversion technique is that it kind of clears the noise up. Because when we're trying to build plans, when we're trying to build these plans for ourselves, sometimes we add stuff on. We add and we add and we add, and we get more things. So we get more details and more disciplines and more ideas. And sometimes it's easier to remove. It's the old joke about Michelangelo, right? Who's carving the statue, and they said, how did you do that? And he's like, it's easy. I just took off all the marble that didn't look like what I was trying to carve. Right? And sometimes our life plans can be that way too. Sometimes our growth can be that way. Sometimes it's easier to get rid of stuff than it is to add stuff on. So try this. Remember, we talked about last week on here that living when you're living a life that's unlived, when you've got something that's out there, it's not just disappointing, it's corrosive. Brendan Burchard is the one who said that as well. It is corrosive to your soul. It will break you down from the inside if you're not living the great life that is set out for you. And I don't want that for you. But to add to that, a scattered life where we're just all over the place and we're doing all of these things for all of these people, that's not just busy, it's dilutive. It's dilutive, which I found out is actually a word. I thought I made it up, but I didn't. But it's, you dilute something by adding a bunch more water to it, right? By adding too much liquid to it. And everything just kind of gets spread out too thin and you can't taste the thing anymore. Yeah, this is the same way as living that scattered life. This is the same thing that it does, is it dilutes, and you don't have time for things to be dilutive in your life. It will stop you from creating impact. It will prevent you from giving the full force of your attention to the things that are most important. Remember how I always say, what's most important right now? If anything is going to stop you from deciding what's most important right now, it is having your focus scattered all over creation. And you cannot do that. So, for example, a couple of things. If your goal is personal growth, then you would ask yourself, okay, how could I not grow? What would sabotage my personal growth? I don't know. I guess not reflecting, right? Not being reflective would be one thing, or being distracted, or always being too busy to focus on myself, right? On my intentional growth. So fine, we're going to eliminate those things. We're going to create a discipline of reflection. We're going to create a discipline for focus. We're going to create a discipline for scheduling and blocking time so that we get the important things done. So when you eliminate all those other things, what happens is your growth gets unstuck. You start to move again. So that's the second. The inversion thinking is model number 2, and model number 3 is the opportunity cost. So this is something we call opportunity cost, and that says this. Have you ever heard? They talk about. Where is this? But when they talk, there are some movies that I've seen where they talk about magic, right? People who do magic, and they say that magic always has a cost, right? Like every effect that you do, if you create a spell that makes somebody fall in love with you, then somewhere else somebody is going to suffer, the negative consequences of that. Everything comes with a cost, and I can see where they got that metaphor because that's the way life works. Every yes is a no to something else. Everything that we say yes to comes with a cost somewhere else in our life. And so when we talk about opportunity cost, what it's doing is it's forcing us to think, what is this decision going to cost to me? What is it going to cost me in time? What is it going to cost me in energy? What is it going to cost me in attention and focus? What is it going to cost me in peace? See, not every good opportunity is a good fit for your mission. Did that make sense? Not every good opportunity is a good fit for your mission. I have a friend who is not good at this. Love him to death, but he's not good at this, right? Because for him, every good opportunity is an opportunity that you got to take. But the problem is, again, scatter. And what happens, we end up with gaps, and we end up with places where things aren't getting done the way that they need to get done, because not every good opportunity is a good fit for your mission. So you've got to have something in place that tells you, hey, which is it? And this is I wrote again on Substack this last week. Sorry for the continuous plug, but this is just a continuation of that thought. I wrote about this idea of strategic abandonment, where you are very specifically saying, I'm going to let go of these things. And maybe sometimes it's just temporarily. It's like, okay, I'm going to set this thing aside for a month while I work on this other thing over here. So for you in your life, right, what could that be? Well, if you're trying to grow a new business, it might be setting some of the things that you do, for fun aside for a while. If you're trying to grow yourself, it might be setting aside more time to focus on that growth and less time to specifically fulfill the needs of other people around you, if those needs can be fulfilled in some other way. Sometimes for people like me, who is, we go back to the working geniuses, I have the genius of enablement. And a lot of times what that means is I love to help people. I love to come alongside people and do things for them, and to be the person who who jumps in and who helps them with whatever they need. But sometimes if I focus too hard on that, what that evolves into, it evolves into the shadow of enablement. And the shadow of enablement is the need to be needed. And that need to be needed is highly, highly, highly destructive in people's lives. I used to say yes to everything that came along. And I would say yes to, people wanted me to do shows, and I would say yes to that. And people would want me to do audio production, and I would say yes to that. And people would say, would want me to help, teach them to do different things. And I would say yes to that. And what happened is it ended up costing me time and creative energy. And I started hating the process of creation. And I started hating the process of helping people. I lost time with my family. And I had to ask myself at some point, is this yes worth all of the no's that I'm saying in my life? And it wasn't. And so I started learning how to say no. So I always like to ask a question, right? And my question for you is, and again, you don't have to answer this in chat. You're welcome to if you want. But the question I want to ask you right now is, what is something you've said yes to recently that may have cost you more than it gave you? Do you have something like that in your life? And I want you to think back to why you said yes to that. What was it? Was it a need? Was it that need to be needed? Maybe that's something we should look at. Was it that fear of letting somebody down? Maybe examine whether that fear is real, whether it's a real thing. Was it that fear of missing out on that opportunity? That's definitely something we need to address. What was it? What have you said yes to that cost you more than it gave you? Because when you find those things in your life and you start to eliminate those things, then you really start to make progress. Okay, we've talked about some different mental models, right? We've talked about some various different ways to kind of create these frameworks in our lives. Let's talk about a quick win framework. This is something that I've been working out. And this is what I call the mission filter. Now, if you go to if you go to the Substack, if you go to andrewberkham.substack.com, you will read about this in great detail. But I'll break it down for you briefly. My mission filter says this. It's a very simple tool, and it starts with 4 questions. You should be asking yourself these 4 questions every time you commit to something. Number 1, does this align with my mission? Is it in line with my mission? Now, keep in mind, you have to know what your mission is. And if you don't, it's time to get a coach. And if you need a coach, I can help you with that. But that's the first thing. Does it align with my mission? Hey, Jesse, what's up? Being on the parent club board, I feel that. I said yes because I steamroll anyways when I feel like things are mismanaged. Well, that may be in line. It may be a cost, right? But it may also be in line with your mission, because the importance of that work may be important to you. But the place, Jesse, to check yourself is when it's not more important to you than other things, right, that need to get done. So that's a place where you could step back and maybe evaluate and look. And so that first question, really important. Does this align with my mission? And again, if you don't know what your mission is, get a coach. I'm available. I'm cheap. Number 2, will it move me closer to who I'm becoming? I've talked a lot in the past about who I'm becoming. I want you to have that vision for yourself. Do you have it? Do you have that idea of who that best version of you is? Again, this is something you really need to build out. Because if you don't know who the best version of you is, you do not know the direction. You do not know the trajectory of your future. You are not creating your own future. And it is up to you. You must create your own future. It's hard. It can be hard to do, but you can do it. I'd be glad to help you. I would be more than glad to help you. So question number 1, does it align with my mission? Question number 2, will it move me closer to who I'm becoming? Question number 3, what am I giving up by saying yes to this? So this is where the rubber meets the road. This is a hard one because we don't do this, right? A lot of times, you ever do that thing where you put the columns, you write the piece of paper down, and then you put the 2 columns side by side, and the 2 columns are like, oh, these are the pros and the cons, and these are all the good things, and these are all the bad things. You ever do that? But have you ever put down, this is what I'm gaining, and this is what I'm giving up? Have you ever measured the sacrifice, the actual sacrifice of your decisions? I was talking about, my friend who had asked me about making the right decisions at the beginning of the stream. And I don't think that person counted the cost of the decisions they were making. And as a result, I think that there is going to come a time when that person realizes that they are no closer to becoming the type of person that they want to be, and that a lot of it is going to hinge on those decisions because they did not count the cost. They looked for the benefit, but they did not count the cost. Hey, Pineapple, what's up? The problem is many find they need to gain something or it's not a worthy sacrifice. I mean, that's true, right? By the way, welcome in. It's good to have you. We got to get over that. We got to get over that idea that every sacrifice gives me something. Because sometimes we don't get anything, but that's the highest level of humanity is sacrifice. Now, what this does not mean is it does not mean you should be a doormat. It does not mean you should empty yourself completely and just let people take you whichever way the wind blows, right? What it does mean is you should always be looking to lift other people up. We have a saying in my Twitch community, right? Is that we show up, right? Number 1 value, we show up for each other. That means we laugh together, we cry together, and we lift each other up. So that's your highest calling. That should always be your highest calling. But question number 3 is, what will I be giving up to say yes to this? And then question number 4 is, a year from now, if I look back on this decision a year from now, will I still be glad I made the decision? Because if you can look at a decision today and you can say definitively, no, I'm not going to be glad. There's a scenario in which I'm not glad. Now, I'm not talking about risk, right? We got to risk. To grow, we have to risk. That's a thing. But if you look at it and you go, a year from now, I'm gonna look back at this and I'm gonna say, that didn't move me closer to my best self. That didn't move me closer to the growth that I wanted. That didn't move me closer to the future that I wanted to create. Will I be glad I did this a year from now? If the answer is yes, 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 then do it, right? Then as long as it's on mission and the cost isn't too great, go for it. Do it. So I want you to try those 4 questions this week on one real decision. It doesn't have to be anything life shattering. I'm not asking you to go out and make a decision that will change your life and use this framework about it this week. What I'm asking you is just one real decision. Ask those 4 questions. Does it align with my mission? Will it move me closer to who I am becoming? What am I giving up if I say yes to this? And will I be glad I did this a year from now? Now, if you want a handy little tool that you can download completely free that will help you out with that, you can go to my newsletter, andrewburkham.substack.com, and down at the bottom of my last post, you'll find a link. And that link is to a Canva template. And on that Canva template, you can make a copy of it and you can totally change it around however you want. If you don't like the colors, if you don't like the words, you can change it around. But on that little template, it gives you these 4 questions and then a few other bullet points. And then it asks you to write down your 20%, your top 20% areas, which you'll read about in the blog post. But I highly recommend you get those. It's like a business card. I would print it out. And I would stick it someplace where you can see it, or stick it in your wallet or in your purse or someplace that you go to regularly. And what I would do is the next time you have to make a decision, just a real decision, pull that card out and ask yourself those questions. And then I want to know what shifts. I would love to hear how that works for you. Let's see, Pineapple. Is there phantom progress? I personally feel like I want to do something, but in 2 to 4 weeks, it feels like there's nothing, even if the payoff is still at the end. How can I build that discipline and patience that something will happen? That's a really good question, Pineapple. So let me talk to you a little bit about how that works. Actually, one of the reasons that we fall off from our goals is that we get too focused. We get too laser focused on the goal. And so we're so busy, and I talk about it with my journey of losing weight. 20 pounds now, by the way, is what it is from when I was at my heaviest weight. And I think about when, the first time I tried and I would step on the scale every day and the scale didn't go anywhere and I just got tired and I quit, right? Things got busy in my life. I let them get busy. And I knew, right? I know that I come from a family where there are risk factors where if I let my weight get out of control, certain things are going to creep in. High blood pressure is going to be an issue for me, right? There's all kinds of things, heart conditions are going to creep in, all of those things. So it wasn't about it was about the number on the scale, but the reason I started, I was motivated by concerns over my health. The problem is I set a goal and I looked at that goal every day. And when I looked at that goal every day and I didn't make meaningful progress, I got tired and I quit. And then I read James Clear's Atomic Habits a couple years ago. And I'm so grateful for that book because what that taught me is you have to stop thinking about the goal. Now, you need to set the goal, right? You've got to have goals. But what you have to fall in love with is the process. What you have to absolutely devote yourself to. Your win has got to be doing the disciplines. And so now, you know what? I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I go to the gym. The last 2 days, my wife was out of town. She was up in Tahoe with her daughter. They were hanging out and having a good time. And I get, this yesterday, I woke up and I went to the gym just like normal. And I get this text from my wife and she's like, "Hey, good job going to the gym." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." Right? Because my win was that even though I didn't have to, because there was nobody here to hold me accountable, even though I didn't have to, because even if my daughter had been home, it's her spring break, and so I didn't have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I could have gotten up at 6 or 7 or whatever, right? I could have slept in, but I got the thing done. I stuck to it, and that was my win, and I celebrated that win. And the reason that we fall off is not just that we set our goals and we fix our eyes on the goals and we hang all of our stuff on the goals, but it is that we forget to celebrate the wins that we have along the way. If you got up today and you did the thing, then listen, you're not done, but yeah, tomorrow's another day. Sure. Yeah, you've got further to go. Yeah, you're not all the way there yet. You may never be all the way there. In fact, you will never be all the way there. There's always better. There's always higher. There's always more growth. But guess what? You acted like the best version of yourself. When you do that, I hope you're proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of the people in my life, and I even get a little emotional about it because the people in my life, when I see them get up and do the hard work and just keep doing the stuff that they do. I think about in my streaming life. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, a colleague of mine, and we talking a little bit about streaming, and I was talking about the fact that I've been doing it for 3 years, and I've seen so many different kinds of people in my streaming career. I've seen people who have, started up and had a really hard time and are still sticking with it. They've got maybe 5 viewers at a time, 10 viewers at a time. And I've been that person. I've seen people who have, jumped on and found something that worked and really taken off, like way blown me out of the water. And I've had some success. And then I've seen the third category, and the third category of people are the people that break my heart because those are the people who start up and then they have 5 viewers, they have 10 viewers, and they don't keep trying different things. They decide that because people aren't showing up, that they're just not good at it, or they're just not lucky enough to be successful. and they don't want to have conversations about how they could just maybe do things a little better. Maybe just focus on this one little aspect, and they don't want to talk about that. They've already got it locked in. Well, I want to do this, and I want to have, I just want to make sure that I'm having fun and enjoying life and doing this. And now, mind you, and not everybody is out to grow. I was talking to some other friends of ours just yesterday, actually, and they were saying to me, "Listen, we don't want to grow. That's not the point. Like it's all fabulous, it's all wonderful, but what we want to do is we really enjoy the people that we hang out with, and we really enjoy that sense of community." And to them, I'm like, listen, you guys are on mission then. You're doing the right things. Because when I look at you and when I look at what you do, you're being clever, you're being creative, you're thinking about ways to engage people. And guess what, guys? I'll be really surprised if they don't blow up before a lot of people that I know that are trying all kinds of gimmicks and giveaways. I'm not saying giveaways are a bad thing, but I'm just saying some people are using them to get viewers. All kinds of giveaways, all kinds of contests, right? Stuff like that. Um, I'll tell you what, the people who are really engaging with people, they're gonna make it, you know. And if they're not focused on growth, they may never have millions of viewers. That's not the point. But they're on mission, and as a result, they're succeeding. But the people who really break my heart are the people who they really come into it with a lot of enthusiasm, but they give up. They give up because they think they have it figured out. They don't want to talk to anybody else who might be able to help. And as a result, they just go down their own path to failure. And that makes me sad. But what makes me happy, what warms my heart is the people who show up every day and they do their best and they try different things and they grow and they get better and they are amazing. There are so many amazing people out there. You are probably one of them if you're watching right now, right? Because this is a very small audience for this show, but it's a very small audience of people who are doing great stuff out there, whether it's streaming or something else. I'm gonna go back to my person I was talking to you about at the beginning of cough cough. Sounds like Mr. I retired. Yeah, yeah. We won't talk about that about Mr. Retired. Um, the person I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, after we had that conversation where I said, "Hey, you need to stop, you need to pause, and you need to get expert advice." That person hasn't come back to talk to me again. But I know the decisions and the choices they've made. And I suspect that the reason they haven't come back to talk to me again is because they don't want to be told that the decisions and the choices they made were wrong. And here's kind of another thing that I will toss at y'all towards the end. If you don't have the strength of character to be told that the decisions you have made are wrong, if you are too much of a coward to face up to someone who will tell you that your thought is wrong, that your behavior is wrong, that your values are not in control of your life. If you are too much of a coward, and I will use that term, right? This is now I'm in the mode of the challenger. I'm not gonna play around with being the healer in this case, right? Because I don't care what has caused that in your life. If it is fear that is causing you to step out of rooms where you may be wrong, then you will never grow at whatever you're trying to do. You will never get better. You will never become a better person. You will never achieve the best future for yourself. And so if you're only in rooms, if you're in an echo chamber right now where people are agreeing with everything you do and they're telling you, you know what, it's all right. If it's what feels good, do it. You know what, it's all right. If it's what seems right to you, just do it. If you are in an echo chamber right now and everyone is saying yes to everything you do, then you are getting bad advice. Because guess what? You're not right 100% of the time. I'm not right 100% of the time. I need people in my life to tell me you are wrong. Just this morning, I was on a call and I was asked, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, here's what I think." And the person on the other end went, "Nope, that's not it. You've got the wrong perspective." And I had to step back and I had to go, you know what? You're absolutely right. I was seeing this through the wrong lens. And so if you're not in a room where people are challenging you and holding you accountable to your best self, you are in the wrong room. Get out of it. Let's see. No one is perfect, but it's important to acknowledge it and own up and get better. Everything requires work and effort. Everything requires work and effort. And by the way, when we talk about the 6 types of working genius, not only does everything require work, everything requires all the stages of work, even the parts that we don't like, right? I don't like execution. I don't like the part where I have to get things done, but I have to do it. You may not like thinking about the big questions behind the questions, but you have to do it or you'll answer the wrong questions. You'll solve the wrong problems. I don't want that for you. I want you to live out the best life that you possibly can. And my heart beats for those who are on that mission. My heart breaks for those who let it go because of fear or because of insecurity or because of whatever it is. Don't be that person. Listen, you are one, if you're on Twitch right now, you're one of 11 people who are hearing this right now. Now, I go play Sea of Thieves, I'm going to have a lot more people in the room, right? You're one of a very few people who chose to listen to this today. Maybe there's a reason you're here, right? Maybe this is something you need to hear. And even if this isn't your specific thing, I just want you to know that not that showing up to my stream is like whatever, but what I want you to know is that when you absorb content like this, when you seek out content like this, you are doing the thing. You are doing that daily discipline. You are creating that moment that will spark your growth. And whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, listen, I'm not the smartest guy on the planet. I listen to a lot of the smartest people on the planet and I try and deliver back what I hear from them in a way that makes sense to, people like me who are nobody. But there's a reason you're here. There's a reason you looked for a stream that said, "Hey, I want to get better. I want to do better." And that means that you have potential. You have that moment to be great. What's up, man? Hey, Bones, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome in. You missed a lot, but you can go back and watch the VOD. Think of a race. Don't keep a pace. Just try and pass the person in front of you. If you're in front of them, surround yourself with those who are better than you. I love that mindset. Yeah, I always get into a room where you're not the best person there. That's my recommendation for you. And, I'm so fortunate to be in the midst of so many talented and intelligent people in my life, both in the streaming space and outside of it. And that I never really have to worry about being the smartest guy in the room. So that's good stuff. But if you're the smartest person in the room, or you're the most talented person in the room, or the most disciplined person in the room, what do they say? Find a new room, right? You're definitely not a nobody. Well, you're definitely not a nobody. So I want to put a button on this at the end here, because I talked about the idea framework, the identity, disciplines, execution, and accountability. And this whole conversation sits right in that intersection between identity and disciplines, which are the first 2 pillars of that framework. Because as I said, if you do not know who you're becoming, then you will say yes to everything, because your identity will be driven by everyone around you, or by the last person who talked to you. You know what recency bias is? Recency bias says we have a tendency to believe the last thing we heard. By the way, that's a real thing. Frequency bias is also another thing. This is one that politicians use a lot. They just say the same things over and over and over and over again, and whether or not it's true, people believe it because of frequency bias. That's a real thing in your brain. So you have to fight against that. So if you don't know who you're becoming, then you'll say yes to everything. And if you don't have disciplines that are keeping you aligned, and Kitty Cat, I'll go back to values, right? Values and disciplines are very closely related. Disciplines is really just living out your values. If you don't have disciplines that are keeping you aligned, then what will happen is you'll just drift back into doing things instead of staying on mission, instead of staying directed. So I will end with this challenge. I like a challenge. So I'm going to end with a challenge. For the next 3 days, just 3 days, next 3 days, I would like you to apply one of these models to a real decision. every day if you can. At least one. At least do one this week. Doesn't have to be huge. Just something real. And then I want you to ask yourself, what changed? What what got clearer? What did I say no to that I would normally have said yes to? And then I want you to post about it. So you can post in the Discord for those who are in Twitch !Discord. You can post about it. You can make a comment on this on the VOD here. You make a comment on the YouTube. You can make a comment here on TikTok if you happen to see this on that platform. But tell me, or DM me. You can DM me on any of those platforms. You can DM me on Discord. You can email me, Andrew at ideatrainingacademy.com. You can send me an email. Just let me know. Send me a message. And what I will do is I'll send you a template, a mission filter template. So if you DM me or email me in any way over the course of this next week, then I will send you that totally free, not going to cost you anything. It's not anything, it's not super fancy. I'm not a graphic designer, but it is something that you can use and reuse. So, and if you want to go deeper on the topic, of course, then I write about this every week on Substack. I've talked about it a million times. andrewburkham.substack.com. It is every week I try and give you at least one free tool there. And then I got a ton of stuff for paid subscribers. It's $5 a month. That is the minimum that they will let me charge for it. So $5 a month or $50 a year. So if you pay it annually, then you do get a discount. But that is something that I want to give to you as well, right? It's not about growing any of that stuff. I'm not here to sell you a bunch of stuff, but I'm here to hopefully help you get better. So that is it for this week. Let's see. Did anybody else? Let's see. I'll check the Q&A real fast. Nope. No Q&A. All right. Wait, 1:12 p.m. This is today. Why did I archive that? Well, okay, here's a question. I'll deal with this very, very quickly. How can one find a purpose? Not that I feel worthless, but what if you feel like there is no purpose to set a goal for? So when it comes to finding a purpose, you have to work backwards. So you have to work backwards. And I write a lot on this in my book, which is coming out later this year. It's called Be Great, just like this podcast. But you have to work backwards. You have to decide what's most important to you. And more important than that, you have to decide who you want to become. Because when we start to think about taking all of these steps to grow, when we start to think about all of these things that we do, we think of, we have a tendency to think about, okay, well, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. And it's this vague idea, but I want you to be able to visualize who you are in a year if everything falls into place. And that person, that best version of you in a year, I want you to do the things today that person would become. So what is your purpose? If you don't know, right? If you don't know, if you feel like, well, I don't know, then there are two things you need to do. You need to work on yourself. You need to make your purpose becoming the best person you can through service of others, through growing your character, through building better communication skills, through building your personal leadership, because everyone is a leader. Those are the things you need to work on. And at the same time, you need to try everything. That's like the song from Zootopia, right? You need to try everything. Because if you don't have a purpose, it's probable that you haven't been exposed to the thing that will provide you with your purpose yet. So you need to have more interests. Listen, if you're sitting at home playing video games all day long, you're not going to find your purpose. I'll say that right now. If that's all you're doing is just sitting around consuming, scrolling TikTok. Sorry, TikTok. I know I'm live on that platform. If all you're doing is scrolling, you're not going to find your purpose. Your purpose is not on Instagram. Your purpose is not on Facebook if you're old like me. Your purpose is not on TikTok. Your purpose is not here on Twitch or on YouTube. Your purpose is out there in the world of things that are getting done. And so what I would say is, number one, make your immediate purpose working on yourself, becoming better. And number two, try everything. Because there is something that will ignite your passion. and that will help lead you to your purpose. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I'm a little over, but I also started late, so thank you guys so much for hanging in with me today. My name, once again, is Andrew Burkham. I am Orpheus Quine here on Twitch, and it is a pleasure and a privilege to work with you every single week. Guys, I love you. I hope you're doing great out there. Hit me up if you're not. If there's any way that I can help, the number one thing in my life, again, my mission in life is to help. So if I can help, I will find a way to do it. All right. Once again, thank you guys for being here. Now, go be great. I'll see you next time.
I've been caught in the whispers, lost in my doubts, tangled in stories I can't live without. But there's a fire, it's burning inside, calling me forward, I can't run and hide. It's not about perfection, it's about the climb, breaking through the limits, one step at a time. With every breath, I'm closer to the dream, a life that's bold, a heart that gleams. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. The mirror's reflection, it shows who I am. But it's just the beginning, not the end of the plan. Through trials and heartache, I've learned how to fight, to shape my tomorrow. I start with tonight. It's not about the shadows, it's about the flame, fueling the courage to rewrite the game. Every step forward, I leave fear behind. Greatness is waiting, it's yours and it's mine. Be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. Through the storms and the pain, I'm finding my way again. With purpose, with heart, I'll never fall apart. It's the journey, not just the end, a story that begins again. I'll build it, I'll create a life that resonates. Be great, be great, stand tall, rise above it all. Let your light shine through, answer the call. There's power in you, don't hesitate. This is your moment, go on, be great. This is your story, it's time to ignite a life of intention.